The following announcement is paid for by the Wrestling with Nerds.
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
Hey there, I'm John St. John, and you are watching the Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast.
This honky tonk man, greatest intercontinental champion of all time, and you're watching Wrestling with Nerds podcast. Yes, that's my favorite. Shake, rattle, and roll.
What's going on, wrestling fans, and welcome to the next edition of the Raw vs. WCW. We are in October. We're doing that month, but we're also going to start with talking about yesterday's Crown Jewel event. Guys, what's up, dudes?
What's up, brother? Did you have a brain fart there for a moment?
Always. I live for the brain fart.
How's your back?
It doesn't feel good. Does not
Who's
feel
back?
good. Muscle relaxer should be kicking in momentarily.
Just say, who was it? Was that Cody Rhodes' problem? Was a back? No, he was a knee recently. It was say somebody had a back issue.
Ryan, what's going
Randy?
on, my dude?
Randy? Are you Randy Orton, AJ?
Not much, guys. Just taking in everything today from yesterday, and then football all day today, and NASCAR turning it into WWE. And
Did you
fucking
imagine if race manipulation was like WWE manipulation? Just DQ these guys.
all right, we're not going into that. The Commanders won. That's more important than anything else.
I mean, I'd hope they played the Giants. That's like playing a little league team at this point.
Yep, they still won. That's all that matters. They're the second best team in the NFC.
Not hard
I
to
thought they were
do.
the first.
Now the Lions won, so now the Lions are 7-1.
Not hard to do when 2 of your wins against the Giants, pal.
You just keep stacking it up and stacking it up, and we're
I mean,
still the
to
number
be
2
fair,
team.
they have to play the Packers twice. So,
Who? The Commanders?
No, the Lions.
the Lions.
Yeah, and the Commanders still have to play Philadelphia. What's your point?
Never mind.
I'm just
You
a lonely
always-
Patriots fan.
You-
We suck
You
too.
always try to just shit on things when your Giants are horrible, which is all the time now.
Well, I mean, you brought the Commanders into a wrestling podcast, so you don't think I'm going to fire back?
You can fire back with all your blanks all you want.
Yeah, but
The
It
fact
ain't
that
no
we're 7 and-
blanks. It
The
ain't no
fact that we're
blanks.
7-2 and you're 2-7, suck on it.
Ryan still has one card he hasn't played yet, which, Ryan, I appreciate you for.
One card he hasn't played yet?
Yeah, we haven't had a podcast since something happened. No, come on, Ryan. You're smarter than this.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
Every time Freddie Freeman...
Yeah,
Well, that's because he can't say nothing because the Red Sox didn't even make the postseason.
I'd rather sit at home and watch it than have to play in it and lose.
That sounds like somebody with a golf mentality.
Yep. Oh, why are they pitching to Freddie? Oh, he has been 0-3 all night. Not anymore.
Hey, who called it? I'm just saying, who called it? It'd be over by
The
Wednesday.
three of us did. Literally, the three of us did. I was like, I don't like them walking Mookie. This isn't good.
That's all right.
Good
Otani,
job, Freddie Freeman.
Otani hit for a 105 average in the World Series. Congrats, bro.
And he's going to be the NL MVP, just like Judge.
Not for the World Series.
No, Freddie Freeman was the MVP.
Yeah. I don't. Well, you're the one that says I don't care what you did in the regular season. What'd you do in the postseason?
True.
Here's the thing. Freddie or Otani didn't have to play outstanding. The rest of the team did. Judge plays terrible, and so does the rest of the team. So it matches perfectly.
Hey, Giancarlo had the series of the postseason of his life.
That's because he knows
too bad
he knows his Yankee career is on the line if he shits the bed
Too bad
again.
I can run the bases better than he can. But anyway, we've gone way off topic. I think we hit that one into left field.
I think that's a challenge worth seeing.
How far down the first baseline do we get winded? I don't think I make it to first.
Yes, no problem.
I see TJ laying in the middle of. I'll give him first bag. Second bag, he's laying in the middle of it. Like, you sons of bitches better not cut me.
Fuck, dude, I will run all 4 of them bases faster than that son of a bitch did. I don't know what he was doing.
Dude, I remember playing in high school. After the game, we hit first, came all the way back to home, hit first, second, came all the way back to home, hit first, second, third, came back.
You might have to put the automated defibrillator on me.
We just ran the foul line all the way around the fence and then back across to the other foul line.
No. After
the hell with
the
all
game,
that extra shit, that's how you get hurt.
Oh,
anyway, can we come back from left field and maybe get in the squared circle?
All right, so yesterday...
I'm still in salty.
I guess afternoon for the people on the East Coast, morning for the people on the West. WWE was in Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel. A little bit different of a Crown Jewel we had. They threw a curveball. They kind of did the Super Bowl effect with those belts, where those belts are going to stay in Saudi Arabia, and the winners will continue to get rings. Ryan once again called that
World Series ring.
But let's get into it real fast because we have a lot to take care of.
Let's go with this first. I know there's been a lot of hate for the Crown Jewel Championships and champion versus champion, and they get a ring instead of bringing the belt home. I would almost guarantee on a whim that WWE did not pay for those belts to be made. Number 2, whether we like it or not, same thing goes for UFC that goes for WWE. There is a very, very strong relationship with Saudi Arabia with both companies. There is a huge group of constituents in Saudi Arabia. WWE, as well as UFC, are going to do whatever they have to do to keep that group happy.
I think we just say TKO at this point. I mean, it's both companies then.
Pretty much.
You want to know what else the Saudis own?
You're not going to get WrestleMania in Saudi anytime soon. That's probably most likely not going to happen.
Be lucky to get it in England, let alone Saudi.
This Crown Jewel is their way of giving them a WrestleMania feel pay-per-view. It may not mean it to us in the States what it means to them in Saudi Arabia. This whole thing about the USA against everybody else, the Americans might as well throw it out the window because it's no longer ours. It's a global organization like it's always meant to be. They're gonna do things for other countries that we may not agree with, may not like, may not understand, but it's a business. And to have those 2 championship belts in the WWE experience now in Saudi Arabia for everybody to see is what they're going to do because it's going to attract more people from over there.
Are that many people having an issue with it?
I haven't seen one person. I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it.
But I have seen
people had a problem with it when it started.
I've seen nothing but
you had a problem with it.
Negativity about the championships and the champion versus champion thrill and all of that kind of stuff.
I like the idea that they could get like bonus rings to go with their rings if they win multiple.
I don't hate it at all. I don't mind it. It gives you nobody bitched when it was Survivor Series and it was Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles. Nobody bitched. When it was the SmackDown champion versus the Raw champions at Survivor Series, nobody complained. But as soon as it was announced that it's going to Saudi Arabia and they're going to do it, everybody bitched about it.
I mean, it was a throwaway belt anyway. They would have wore the belt there. They would have got some photo ops with it, and then you wouldn't have seen the thing for a year anyway.
What they did.
Right. Like, who
You're
cares?
not gonna. You might see the crown jewel ring on TV Monday night.
I think Liv's going to start using it kind of like MJF does.
I
Who
don't see
said that?
that.
I think I said that.
I don't. I don't see that happening.
She said it in her
I
after
know,
show
but I
interview.
don't. I feel like they would. I would almost bet you those rings aren't fake either.
Her and her ha 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 ha. Her laugh is
So-
hilarious, by the way.
The whole thing about this pay-per-view and hating the fact that they're doing this, get over it. It's a business. They're making a bunch of money off of it. That's what you do in a business. You know what else you do in a business that we haven't talked about yet? You cut the fat off of the business. And that's what they did with Indy Hartwell, Tegan Knox, and Baron Corbin. And it's just the start. There's rumors that Shinsuke's in the next group of releases. Guess what? If they're not doing anything with you, you're not setting in and catering anymore and getting paid. Goodbye. See you later. Go learn a new hold somewhere, and maybe you'll
You
make
could
it
have
back
told
to
me
the WWE.
Shinsuke was already cut. I'd have believed you. I haven't seen him in
So,
months.
granted, I'm a Tegan Knox guy. I've liked Tegan since the very first Mae Young Classic when I saw her. I thought she had a huge upside. I think Hunter had the same idea. But you blow out both your knees, I say this lightly because Nikita's done it too, but her new heel character on NXT is I like it. But you're dead in the water. You're losing 2 years of in-ring time to recoup, and if you can't get put back into a story,
Well, and where would you put
you're dead in the
Tegan?
water.
Honestly, where would you put Tegan?
I would have sent her to NXT.
Where
send
you
her-
don't need her, though. That's the thing.
I agree, but send her to NXT. The problem with the women's division in whole is the NXT women's division
way
is
better.
than every version of any other women's division on television in a company.
Is it because they have a mid card women's belt?
No.
No.
It's not because of that. It's because they have more than one story or two stories going with their women. You've got Fatal Influence and Kelani Jordan. They're feuding over that mid card title. You've got Nikita and the one that's part of the family now. I can't remember what her name is. You find out that Nikita is the one that took her out. Now they're feuding. You've got the powerhouse thing. I cannot wait for Wednesday. I've never been looking so forward to an NXT show in all my life than I am for Wednesday night for NXT 2300. That 10-woman tag match alone is going to be amazing with Jordan Grace and
there's women in it that
Zarya.
aren't even in it that I want to watch. That chick that was just at was it Halloween Havoc? The
Zarya and Stephanie Valkyr and Julia and Kalani Jordan's kind of like the you can get rid of her. It's kind of like I feel like that was supposed to be somebody else, but they filled her into that spot.
like Sol Ruka. Where's
Against
she?
the other ones. It's gonna be fun. But like the women's on the main roster, they have to start planting the seeds for this Bianca Jade split now because it's very bland. I don't know about
believe they
you two,
retained. I cannot believe they retained.
We're gonna jump through this card really quick on some things, but we're gonna jump out of order. That women's fatal 4-way was horrendous. It was awful. And I am so tired, and mark my words on this, I am so tired of the high praise that everybody gives Io Sky and Kairi Sane. They are horrible. They botched 3 different spots last night. Not somebody else screwed up, they screwed up. And they do it on a routine basis where at least one time in their match, they have to stop and restart because they botched something up. And I hate using the word botch because it's a mark word, and I just don't like it.
Do you think it's because they're going too fast or trying to go too fast? I love
when wrestling's not perfect. But for God's sakes, if you can't do it, don't do it. If you don't have the confidence to do something off the top rope, springboard wise, which is what they screwed up yesterday at the pay-per-view, then don't do it. It's that simple. But they do it every single week. I don't think I've ever watched a match with them two where one of them hasn't screwed something up. But they get praised. And I'll give you I'm not giving you the spoiler, but guess what? One of them's going to be in a championship hunt before too long. Why? They don't deserve it.
Who
No
were
way,
the
shape,
other
or
two? It
form.
was Lash Legend
The
and
ones that I wanted
Sasha
to win
Banks
are the
Light.
best duo on either one of the shows, and that's Piper and Chelsea. Chelsea
Oh,
Green
that's
is
right.
the
They were the
most
other one.
entertaining person
I
on
like
both
how
shows.
I like how creative that match ended.
Who was the
And
fourth team?
Metaphor,
Oh,
Lash Legend,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Jakara
yeah. Never
Jackson,
mind. I remember. I forgot the
both really good.
champions.
Jakara Jackson, very smooth and clean in the ring. Lash Legend,
Is a powerhouse.
She made Jade look small in that ring. Matched up side by side, she makes Jade look way
What
smaller
are
than what
they
Jade is.
waiting for with Jade and Bianca for Solo's run? I don't get it.
I don't either. But the other thing that gets really annoying watching them two in the ring is their costume designs. The fact that half of it falls off in the middle of the ring, and then you're all this glitter and stones and shit's laying in the ring while people are trying to wrestle. I just don't like it. The
Yeah,
match was
that
messy.
that match went 12 minutes, and it could have probably cut that in half and just been a 6-minute match and
The finish
just
was
been high
stupid.
spots.
The finish was dumb. The spot with Piper and Chelsea,
That's what I was talking
fine.
about.
That spot was fine. But if Piper landed on Chelsea, watched Chelsea roll out to the ground, then why in God's name did Piper get back up on the top rope just so Jade could powerbomb her off?
Yeah, that made no sense. And then
Absolutely no sense
the
whatsoever.
Doomsday device.
It was stupid. And I'm gonna hop right to the other women's match while we're on this shit train because that was god awful. It just was. Nia and Liv, no chemistry whatsoever. It was stale. It was basically Liv wins because the other two interfered. Go figure.
Praying that Tiffany would
there
cash
was
in just to
nothing.
save face of the match.
And here's my question: if Tiffy cashes in and pins, wouldn't she in sense make the match a triple threat match? So then she would be the crown jewel champion too.
One would have thought.
That would have been cool.
That would have been a thought. I mean, it never was brought up during any of the promos. But if Tiffy cashes in and makes it a triple threat match, she pins one of them, she wins their belt, but then she also wins the crown jewel belt. How funny would that have been for her to walk? She would have used the ring. Tiffy would be the perfect one to use this crown jewel ring
are we
to
thinking
keep her belt.
When Tiffy cashes in, she's gonna go from that likable heel to a huge over face?
Here's the problem. Because they've booked it so crappy and she literally attempts to cash in every single week, I have no care in the world when she cashes in.
That stinks because
she needs to wait.
We love
now.
Tiffy. Or
she needs to honestly wait now. I'd wait till the Royal Rumble at least.
The only thing,
I wouldn't even tease it.
The only thing that would make me happy with Tiffany cashing in is the fact that it's going to be Tiffy versus Charlotte at WrestleMania. That's it. Other than that, I don't care.
With a Charlotte returning in the Rumble?
I have a feeling that's what they're going to do. Or she may be a War Games participant if they start playing that mystery angle.
Do we even have an angle for that yet? Who the hell that's even going to be? It's clear as day. The Bloodline War Games is shaping up.
I saw a really, really cool poster that had me kind of intrigued for the ladies War Games match, but I don't know if her injury is gonna delay it. And it was Rhea, Zarya, Stephanie Valkyrie, and Jillian versus Liv, Roxanne, Cora Jade, and Raquel Rodriguez. That would be entertaining and interesting as a War Games match. Do I see it happening? No. Would it be interesting if some of the NXT people get involved in War Games? Yes. But we'll have to see. But both women's matches last night, and I'm a big fan of women's wrestling. Over the last 10 or so years, I've become more and more of a fan of ladies wrestling, women's wrestling. This is probably one of the only pay-per-views I can remember watching where anything that the ladies were involved with sucked. and this was that show. And I hate to say that because I know they work hard at it, but it sucked. And I'm looking forward to Tuesday night. I'm hoping for redemption at NXT 2300 with that 10 women tag match. I hope it pays off because Crown Jewel was horrible.
Do we think we get the surprise return of one wise man Tuesday
I don't
night?
think. No, I don't think you're gonna get Heyman for ECW or for the ECW arena. There's enough ECW legend talent gonna be on that show that you don't need Heyman to be there. And I think it would ruin the return. So you got to think about it this way: would you want Paul Heyman at ECW for NXT, or would you want Paul Heyman to show back up to kind of reorganize the OG bloodline? If you use him in NXT, you kind of spoiled it for when he shows up at SmackDown.
Unless the bloodline happens to be there.
Again, let's work on this. Why would the bloodline be at NXT?
Why would Rhea be there to get beat on by Liv and Raquel?
Because she broke her orbital socket last week on Raw. When you break your orbital socket.
Well, no, I'm aware, but like outside of there being a need to write her off, why did she need to be at NXT?
Because the new girl is from where she's from. They're friends. It was her debut at NXT. They're both from South Adelaide, Australia. They're friends. That made sense for her to be there. Also, when you break your orbital socket, you can't fly. So there's no way for her to get to Saudi. They had to write her off right then and there. They had no live shows between NXT and Saudi. So you write her off by having Liv and Raquel destroy her in her car.
That's actually a thing. If you break your orbital bone,
you can't fly because of the pressure changes. Your eyeball can pop out if the break's the right way. You can't fly with an orbital.
That I didn't know either. That I didn't know either.
Yeah, it creates pressure when you.
I mean, the pressure makes sense, but I didn't know it would like. I didn't know that was a thing.
It can push it out. It can push it back in. It can mess up your whole thing because it's all. Your eye is all pressure sensitive. So, it made sense to write her off on NXT. I think you're gonna get Heyman when you may get Heyman Friday with the Bloodline, because they're all four supposed to come together, I would imagine, and have a conversation. Because Sammy's now involved in this story, whether he likes it or not. We'll get to that when we get to their match, which was the opening contest. Was not expecting that to be the opening contest.
No.
Were either one of you?
No, I was thinking it was going to be the triple threat match.
So we'll start. We have the Timu bloodline of Solo, Jacob, and Tama, with Tonga Loa at ringside, versus the OG bloodline of Roman Reigns and the Usos. Note number 1. Jay came in. What was your thoughts that Jay came out after Roman got a bigger pop than Roman?
It's Jay staying himself, even though he has to tag with his family.
I mean, it's what Jay had negotiated with them, that we all are our own people. We're all on equal ground.
I thought it was cool.
We're all on equal ground, but yet Jay's the one that changed his colors to red.
Because he's on Raw.
His Heat shirt was red.
I thought it was baby blue.
When they showed up to the arena, he was wearing a red Heat shirt.
For me, I think he's just standing out.
I don't know. It's just Jay being main event Jay Uso at this point.
I kind of came into this match half-assed. I kind of came into this match late. I figured it's a bloodline match. It's going to be the same bloodline story as it always is for these guys. I did see the finish. It makes sense for Solo to pin Roman. It really does.
People have done that recently.
True, but if you gotta also think about it this way: if the bloodline, OG bloodline, beats the Timu bloodline before we get the War Games, then what's the point of War Games?
Yeah.
The Timu team that's better organized more collectively together wins the first time. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You get to
Well, see,
games.
this is where I was thinking Heyman would be on NXT this week. Is Heyman's there for NXT in the ECW arena, and Roman alone shows up to talk to the wise man to try to get help to bring things together.
Yeah, but I would think that would be more a SmackDown thing. You want that on your bigger show.
Well,
I can see it happening.
I would have thought it would have been on SmackDown last week, but it didn't.
I think it was more of, you got to think about it this way. Roman and the Usos thought they were just good because they're Roman and the Usos. But they've been apart for so long that they're not that close-knit organizational group as they once were. The Timu bloodline have been. They've been working as a unit. So the idea now is, okay, Roman and the Usos are this wadded ball, and they need the wise man to show up to tighten the ball. And that's what I think will happen either this Friday or next Friday.
I'm still shocked Sammy came out.
I'm not to save Jay.
I would say he was going to come save Jay one way or another. The contact with Roman was a little bit interesting to me.
Oh, yeah, the haluva kick from the spear.
I definitely think it's going to be the same thing as it was with Jay. They're going to work it out, and Sammy's going to be a part of this bloodline. OG bloodline versus Timu bloodline. So it's going to be but there needs to be a fifth person on that bloodline team. And that's what we're all waiting on, is who's going to be the fifth guy on the bloodline team. Because I can't see going into
one royal family.
You know, I've heard that.
Anybody else? Does anybody else kind of got to look back and laugh when, Heyman was asked around WrestleMania what inning the bloodline story was in, and he's like, we're only in like the fifth. What do you mean? And everyone's like, nah, it'll end once Roman loses the belt, and yet here we are almost back to Royal Rumble, and we're still on the bloodline story.
And it's not getting stale.
No.
I just realized we don't have that as a clip, and I think we should.
What?
But I'll do this. I'll one-up you a little bit, and it's a little bit of a history lesson for people that are just new to the sport. But the fifth guy could be...
Punk? He's a Paul Heyman guy.
He is a Paul Heyman guy.
I would prefer.
I don't know which one that was in.
I don't know if we have it, but I would prefer a certain cowboy from up in Canada to.
That would be amazing too, but we'll have to wait and see. That's the fun part about this bloodline, is we always have to wait to see. Overall,
because remember too, he can challenge for the belts again now that Cody's champion.
It's true.
Why am I brain farting on who the freak you're talking about?
Brock freaking Lesnar!
Overall, though, I mean, this match made sense to me, so I'm not going to hate it.
Made sense. It just...
They kept the bad Tongan on the side, which was good. We didn't need the bad Tongan in here. And, man, they make Jacob... But Jacob is going to be interesting when this bloodline thing kind of starts fade down. Like how quick he goes to the top, because
that dude's fun to watch.
The dude, yeah, he is fun to watch, and he's a freaking monster. I enjoy it. This match, it served its purpose. This is the Halloween Kills to the Halloween End that will be at the War Games. This was the bridge the gap.
Anyway,
so shall we go to Seth freaking Rollins versus Bronson Reed? Goes 12-20. And how many stomps to Bronson Reed? Was
three.
It 3? One from the top rope.
3 and 1 from the top rope.
And then
some
after
steps
the
involved.
Pinfall, Seth gets out of the ring and Braun's already back on his feet.
Yeah, he says something like, "What is wrong with you? sick or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna go off on this one and say that I did not like this match. The finish of this match was off.
If anybody
Um,
needed to win it, it was the guy that lost the match.
I think Bronson should have won. I didn't think he needed to win the match, but I think Bronson should have won the match. Only because Bronson has been the only guy in the last, I don't know, 2-3 years that's made Seth vulnerable, and that probably should have continued.
I definitely think that
At
should have
least
kept
through
going.
this match, I don't think they're done in any way. But I feel like should have got the win. Bronson should have got the win here.
I mean, he hasn't. What match has he won?
He beat Strowman, did he not?
Seth stomped him and Strowman pinned him.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, Bronson or Strowman or Rollins hit him with the stomp on the
Yeah.
steps, and he didn't get pinned. He got counted out. 1, 2, 3.
Or well, whatever the stipulation was, he couldn't stand.
Because the ring broke.
It was a last man
But-
standing, and he wasn't standing.
It was what it was. Nothing fancy.
He hasn't won an He hasn't won a damn match that I can think of.
Since the Battle Royal at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Um,
And even then, like, I mean, just a regular match. Like, I can't think of one he's won. He always loses.
Next up, Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. Never gets started. Goes to a no contest. I kind of figured this was going to be a smudge. I didn't think this was going to be a actual match.
I like this though. I thought this was awesome.
Did you guys catch Kevin Owens' post-match interview?
No.
Where the man is so delusional about what's going on that him and Kathy Kelly were on a group of guys were riding dune buggies in the desert during the week, and they wrecked and flipped over like 4 or 5 times to the point where Kevin Owens is convinced that Randy and Cody hired their driver to do it. That's how far the deranged is going in the storyline. But I ask you this question in all honesty. If he beat up Cody Rhodes just because he partnered with Roman, and now he's beating up Randy Orton because Randy chose Cody,
Mm-hmm.
what is he going to do when he finds out that Sammy's back with the bloodline?
Yeah. I mean,
Sammy's dead. Sammy's dead.
I still think it's great that in this story we don't know what the fight at the bus was about. And we haven't been able to get that information because Kevin hasn't been given the time to explain it because, as he says, no one will listen to him. And Randy took Cody's side without ever listening to him. And that's just the way it's been for him. Is he feels betrayed for the first time ever.
But let's also be honest. Corey Graves says it best. Kevin Owens has turned on every friend he's made in the WWE.
But then the first time he openly trusts a couple people, and it appears to him as though they betrayed him again.
Yeah.
So
what if we find out? What if we do get the audio from that argument and it turns Cody heel?
That's where I think Homelander Cody would start.
Might be interesting. All right, next on. Get through this real quick. LA Knight, Andrade, Kamala Hayes, triple threat, U.S. title.
Can we stop talking about the stupid 7-game series?
Why is it stupid?
That was amazing.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, but like I'm just sick of like them talking about it. Like it's not like the first time it's been done.
But it's the first time it's been done in almost 20 years.
I'm pretty sure
you had Benoit and
Booker.
I
thought Sheamus and somebody just did this like 2 years ago.
I don't know. But it was better than the Sheamus one because we don't remember the Sheamus one.
And we won't. I don't think I'll remember this one in 2 years.
This was fun. These two wrestling each other 7 times was fun.
Well, 6 and a partial because, you know.
And then it worked out really good for this triple threat match. The finish of this was amazing.
The match was great. Like, all of it's been great. I'm sick of them being like, oh, it's a 7-game series. Like, oh my God, the World Series is over. Stop.
Well,
that's why he doesn't like it.
True. I mean, it's the thing that led to the triple threat match. They're going to talk about it. That's how it works. But the blunt force trauma on the both of them before he pins them 1, 2, 3, love it.
Yeah,
By the way, I think I sent a message to you. You don't need the LA Knight side plates. You need the LA Knight strap. Did you happen to see that? His strap now has LA Knight logo, the LA logos all over it.
Like on his belt.
yes.
Like the leather strap part. It says it's LA all the way across.
Well,
like,
if you want to
in
buy
pattern.
me, if you want to buy it for me, I'll take it. I'll trade
I'll
you.
buy you. How about I buy you the white pin marker and you can just put the LA Knight
Nope.
logo on it.
Nope. Nope.
You send the belt here, and I'll put the LA Knight logos all over it.
Sure, just as soon as I get my chair.
I'll send them both back at the same time. It's cheaper
Right.
that way.
What's good? Are we gonna do? It's gonna take you to. Like
Let
a
me
year
guess.
and
You
a half
want me to?
do...
You want me to send the wrestling buddy too in this exchange?
No, because I might have a lead on 2 of them. So suck it.
Mine's still
Hey,
better.
speaking of suck it, but we'll get there.
Cody, Gunther, Crown Jewel, 23 minutes. A solid match, a fun match. Gunther basically saying "the hell with your dad's elbows" and cutting Cody off, I thought was great. I think we thought what we thought was gonna happen happened. Although
I don't know about all of us in that thought.
TJ thought Gunther was gonna win. Me and AJ were right. We thought Cody was gonna win. Yeah, you're not gonna crown a first ever and it not be Cody Rhodes at this point
And see, and this is why I'm sick of the pick'em.
because you didn't think.
No, because yes, Cody marketability should win this match. Actually winning the match, it should have been Gunther.
Why should it have been Gunther?
Because he's being booked right now as this indomitable force, which means he should also be Cody as that indomitable force.
But Cody's been undefeated longer than he has.
But what does that have to do with undefeated?
Well,
I don't
if you're
care.
Nominal, it means you're unbeatable and you got beat.
I mean, Cody gets beat all the time. Cody got beat the night before he won the championship.
And
Gunther's been beat once in 2 years. 3 years, 666
That's
days.
only for the title.
Now it's twice because Cody beat him.
Well, yeah, but that's my point. It's like Cody used to lose all the time, not before April.
I
Gunther
mean,
lost
come on
once
now.
in 660 days.
Since
Come
Cody
on,
Cody came back, he's lost twice.
Think about it, my guy. Liv won the women's match. Do you think honestly they were gonna let both world champions win both matches? You gotta remember WWE.
Well, yeah, but it's
works
not
on
like I can
pattern.
switch my picks mid freaking pay per view.
Well, the right amount of money. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Remember,
remember, I picked the Bloodline to win.
just to run down through our pick'em stats points wise. I have the lead with 60 points.
I'm gonna take this off right now because I don't care.
I have the lead with 60 points. AJ has 53. Darren, our friend, has 51. Sean 49. Wes 46. Andy 45. Ed with 43. TJ in the middle of the pack there falls all the way down with 42 because he scored a 2-point pay-per-view.
That is 2, the number after 1.
Justin are 41 points.
Fake pay per view that shouldn't matter.
Ron with 36. Rob with 32. Lou with 30, and Mike with 29.
I'm of the long-standing belief the Saudi pay per view shouldn't count.
Well, you can think in one hand and what happens in the other, and what happens wins.
Just not do it next year too, like I plan to, and not worry about it.
Like I said before, when you don't win it, you quit doing it. So that makes sense.
I haven't won it in 3 years, and I've still been doing it. And
What's going on, James? James
Makes
says,
sense.
"Hi everyone, my bad. I'm late, but glad to be here." What's going on, James?
we appreciate
What's up,
you
James?
being here, James.
Are
we done with Crown Jewel?
Yes.
We don't want to like have a post-match, post-title presentation, post-fireworks show.
I'll post match slap the shit out of you. Does that work?
Let's have a post-match fireworks. Let's get Liv out and do more fireworks. Let's go to the Experience Center and do more fireworks.
Are you just mad that the Saudis spent a bunch of money on fireworks? They liked when things go boom.
As long as it's not their oil fields.
Just a quick shout out before we go any farther. James is a friend of mine.
Hey,
his-
AJ, if you pull that up a little further, you'll look like one of the women there.
Okay. Before we go any farther, serious note. James is in chat. It's a good friend of mine. Shout out to him and his girlfriend. His girlfriend lost her mother only a couple weeks ago. Was really hard on the community. We're members of the Fire Hall together. We're a close knit bunch, so shout out to them. James, love having you here. He comes up to me at meetings. He goes, he's been in the chat a couple times, but the first time he comes up to me and he goes, "Man, you really do know a lot about wrestling. Didn't know there was things in there I had no clue." And my dad's standing beside me, and Dad just shakes his head like, "Unfortunately, he's been watching it since he was 2." But I love him. And the fun thing about James is he's a DVD collector. He has wrestling DVDs out the wazoo and got so upset. He come to me the other week. He goes, "I'm really mad." I said, "What's wrong, James?" He goes, "WWE stopped making DVDs. I was hoping to get WrestleMania 40 on DVD." And there's that damn Liberty Bell that we had to go look at.
No, we didn't.
Look at. But shout out to James.
We just got told to move.
All right. While we've already been an hour in, let's rock and roll. I believe, what was it? The last 2 months went to
TJ.
TJ. So TJ's up by 1?
Yeah.
Up by 1.
With only needing to win 1 month to secure victory of 3.
Well, let's see how October's
I
going to go.
don't think I'm up by 1. I think I'm up by 2.
You should be at 6 while I'm at 5. No.
No, I split you.
Yeah.
August he won because of SummerSlam. In September you won because of Fall Brawl.
No. He won 2. The last
he win
time he
2?
won 2. But July was a wash. July
Was a
went
wash.
to nobody.
So you're down by 2. You have to win 2. TJ only has to win 1. Which would be right.
That would
You
give
have
us
October. You have October, November, and December left.
I have to win a month and I secure victory
Yeah,
for
if
WCW.
TJ wins a month, the whole thing's over with.
Yeah, but you have it set where there's a. So
I
won
have
the
it where somebody's gonna win.
First 3 months were me.
You won the first 4 months.
I thought it was 3 months. Okay, fine, 4 months.
Either way, I'm up by 2, bro.
Yeah, I think you're up by 1.
Doesn't
Whatever.
make sense. Well, just math it backward. We have 3 months left, correct?
Yeah.
July didn't count. There's 4. Okay?
Yeah.
You won 3.
3,
I won
4.
3. And then 4.
If you already won 7,
We
you
can
won.
finish tied. But if I win 1,
No, we
No,
can't finish
You
tied.
can't finish tied
well,
because
I don't know.
pushed to July.
Then I've won 2. I don't know what to tell you. You'd have
You
somebody.
have-
I thought
I
somebody
do-
was keeping track. Wasn't me. I know I didn't win the beginning
I
of the
lost
year.
paperwork, but I do remember specifically we said at the end of last time's show that all TJ had to do was win 1 more, and he won the whole
That
thing.
I do remember.
Because of July being a push meant that somebody was going to win by 1.
I think it was 3-3. Then July didn't count, and then I won 2. I think I'm up 5-3.
That's exactly what my thought was. 3-3, and then because you brought it back to tied July, and we pushed July, and then he won August and September. So we're headed to October, and we're
There you
headed there.
go.
October the 6th, 1997, Monday night. You got a
Here's-
pay-per-view before your first Raw?
Yeah, October 5th, Bad Blood.
There we go. Well, hit me with it, Fat Cat.
Let's go,
So-
Taylor Swift.
I won't call you what her brother-in-law was called.
October 5th from St. Louis, Missouri, from the what is now the Enterprise Center, the Kiel Center, I think it's what it was called. 21,151 in attendance with a buy rate of 240,000. It is WWF In Your House, Bad Blood.
And it's not just bad; it's double D bad.
Yeah. And why is it bad? Well, we'll tell you. Somebody didn't make the show.
No. Um, all jokes aside, it was announced at I think it was pretty much the beginning of the show or the free for all.
It was
That
announced at the end of the first match. They cut to ringside.
which was scheduled to be the next match. This is the pay per view where the night before or the day of, we lost Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman passed away in his hotel room. Um, Kind of really in bad taste for the WWE in this situation.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty shitty the way they handled it. I showed AJ the interview with Brian Jr., where we'll get into it for Raw, where the mom was all about the cash grab, wasn't even in the story of the life of what was going on. I believe we were supposed to get Brian Pillman versus Dude Love. That didn't happen.
Yep.
And they kept talking about it through the whole show.
And Vince kept adding details about it, and I don't know. It felt kind of very not right the way he was saying it. Everything he was saying at commentary about it.
Bam.
It starts with the Nation of Domination defeating the Legion of Doom in a handicap match. Ken Shamrock was supposed to be on the Legion of Doom side, but I think it was a concussion that kept him out of action. The Nation of Domination is gaining a crap ton of steam, Ryan. I don't know if it's because now they have Rocky on board and they're just on fire right now when it comes to wins.
Yeah, and I say it's becoming more apparent that The Rock is kind of in a way separating himself from the nation. He's getting more popular on the microphone more and more each week. But I'm just thinking back to what we watched beforehand. He takes a big loss later on this month on Raw that was kind of unexpected by you. I kind of expected it with the way things were looking, but again, the nation gets the win. They pick up the momentum, like you said. They added 2 matches to the card last minute to fill out the time after Pillman's death was announced. So your next is a mini match. Yeah, AJ or TJ's favorite Max Mini and Nova defeated Mosaic and Tarantula. Tag team match goes 6 minutes and 43 seconds. I have a question. If it's a midget match or mini match for 6 minutes and 43 seconds, is that really like 13 minutes and 6 seconds? 23 seconds?
Only if you use Scott Steiner math.
But they didn't have a 33 and a third chance of winning. It was a tag match.
Somebody made mention of that, by the way, at Crown Jewel. I don't know if you caught that. It was good
Um,
callback. I think it was LA Knight.
So then, next up, we get the heel Godwins
Oh, happy birthday to him, by the way. I don't think anybody said it.
to the Godwins.
No, LA Knight. It was his birthday over the weekend.
Oh. We didn't throw him a party here in town, so.
He wasn't here.
He didn't celebrate in Saudi either.
Yeah, a lot of fireworks over there.
I do love, though, how his ring colors are yellow, red, black, and white, which are the Maryland State flag colors. I like that. The Godwins, the heel Godwins here now with Uncle Cletus. They defeated the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher for the tag titles, 12 minutes, 18 seconds.
Yep.
I remember as a kid watching this and first I thought when the Headbangers won the tag titles that it was cool.
Yeah.
But I always kind of liked the Godwins as the heels, and I was really happy that they won.
Is it here where they turn on Uncle Cletus?
I don't think they turn on him till they lose him.
To the Road Warriors. Got it.
Yes.
I'm sorry, LOD. Sorry.
Next up, we get the Intercontinental Championship final, the vacant title.
Oh, Stone Cold secures Owen Hart winning this match with a belt over the head to Farouk.
Yeah. Owen defeats Farouk with the help of Stone Cold, and everybody's kind of wondering, why is Stone Cold helping Owen? We'll get to that later this month. 8-man tag team match. This again, factions galore for Vince at this time. The Disciples of Apocalypse, Skull, 8-Ball, Chains, and Crush defeat Los Boricuas, Jesus Costellos Jr., Jose Estrada Jr., Miguel Perez Jr., and Savio Vega by pinfall. The time on the match is a little falling, 9:11. This next match was fun to watch just because I forgot about it. Bret the Hitman Hart and the British Bulldog as a tag team versus the Patriot and Vader in a flag match, with the special rule that you can win the flag match by pinfall, because it was literally put in place because one, the Patriot was hurt and couldn't climb the pole, and Vader's 450 pounds and can't climb the pole.
Yeah,
So they made the ruling agreement that they could win by pinfall, only they lost the match. Why not leave it alone?
so I'm watching it and I'm trying to pay attention and do stuff at the same time. I'm like, wait, why is he pinning the guy? Is this like R-Truth in the Royal Rumble asking for a tag?
Or getting out on ladder and
R-Truth, how about that Philadelphia Duck?
And then, of course, the main event, the match we've all wanted to see, the match that was the debut of the Hell in the Cell. Shawn Michaels defeats The Undertaker in a outstanding 30-minute battle that left Shawn bloody.
Oh, bad.
Took some big spots, including the
Bad
one off of
bloody?
the half of the cell.
No, like Eddie Guerrero JBL bloodied.
that was
Yeah.
bad bloody. Bad blood.
And then The Undertaker goes for
Ew.
and the lights go off. That eerie music hits. The red light comes on. The fire explodes. And here comes this big giant red and black monster with a mask with Paul Bear, and we have the debut of Kane.
It's gotta be Kane!
And I can remember watching this as a kid being scared to death.
Really?
Kane was the creepiest person. That version of Kane is still one of the creepiest, sadistic monsters I think I've ever seen in professional wrestling.
So, funny story since you mentioned that and talking about wrestling when you're a kid. When I first got into wrestling right around 2004, 2005, The Undertaker on SmackDown, whenever he came out, that music would hit, I would pull the blankets up over just so like there was an eye showing.
I used to do that when The Undertaker debuted, his original debut, where his music was literally just the gong. Like, and you can watch the kids in the crowd when he was that Undertaker. They would always look away and not want. I was the same way. It was like, this dude's scary. But Kane to me is on a different level. And I'll tell you this story. I don't think I've told many of this story out of confidence because it makes me look really creepy and sad and pathetic, but it's still funny.
It's okay, we love you anyway.
You have your dreams and your nightmares when you're sleeping, and there's ones that you can really vividly remember, and then there's ones you remember, but then when they end, you forget like part of the story and all this stuff. I had a dream when I was about 12 years old where I was running from something, couldn't figure out what I was running from, only for it to figure out that it was Kane. And it was kind of like a Friday the 13th type deal, where like no matter what I did, he was always one step ahead of me. And I can remember the dream vividly, like I'm running around my neighborhood, running from this Jason-like character that is Kane. And I can remember I run through the front door of my grandparents' house. And the way my grandparents' house used to be, it was laid out, was that you ran through the front door and you were in the dining room. And if you looked to your left, it was a doorway. You could look through the dining room, up the little step, and straight into the living room, where my grandparents' recliners would sit, so that my grandmother could look out if somebody came in and see who's there. And I can remember going through the door, hands to my knees, huffing and puffing because I'd been running, talking to my grandfather about running away from this guy that's chasing me, only to turn and look up to where my grandmother would be sitting, and I get the quick head snap look from Kane like a Jason character, and I took off running again. It's still one of the creepiest dreams I've ever had in my entire life, and that's why the first version of Kane scares the living shit out of me.
Sounds like you need to be committed.
I think
But
we
I'll
all
give you
do.
this: that version of Kane is better than any version of Kane we ever got.
Not the
But
May
not
19th, Kane?
Jesus Christ, not May 19th. But anyhow, this was the best version of Kane. The Undertaker sold it so well. His facial expression, like, oh my God, I'm seeing a ghost. No, it's my brother Kane, and I'm dropping you with a tombstone. Kind of funny. You've been locked away and been tormented by Paul Bear telling him your brother is evil, but you know how to do your brother's finishing move. Interesting.
Well, maybe he had TV.
But he's burnt and he's only got one good eye.
Well, maybe that one guy was watching Tombstone Pile Drivers.
So anyhow,
Or maybe Paul Bearer trained him in the mortuary.
We're gonna switch it up because I don't want TJ falling asleep this week. We're gonna go to October 6th, Monday Night Nitro, live from the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I wonder why they didn't go to the Mall America again.
Oh, maybe there was a shooting. Run, Kyle Busch, run!
Results: Booker T with Jackie defeats Jeff Jarrett with Deborah. Never mind. Alex Wright defeats Billy Kidman. Ernest the Cat Miller defeats Mortis. Scott Hall defeats Hector Garza. Diamond Dallas Page defeats Disco Inferno by DQ. Eddie Guerrero defeats Ultimo Dragon. Kurt Hennig defeats Chris Benoit. Was this only a 2-hour show?
It probably ran late. But
All right, well, it says here, featured open graphic about the passing of Brian Pillman. Very good.
I had it in my notes, dog.
Oh yeah. Do you have this note? Including a performance by the Nitro Girls on the entrance stage, during which Che had a nipple slip.
No, I didn't put that note
Yeah,
in there.
yeah.
Because the Nitro Girls, I tend to just skip through.
You get Hogan's new movie? Did you ever see that movie?
No.
Is that the one that WWE's referencing on it being shit?
To be fair, there's a lot of Hulk Hogan movies that were shit.
Is that the assault on whatever?
It's Assault on Devil's Island.
That Bischoff tells him to take the posters to Raw and get them in the background?
Yeah, and apparently it was coming on right after Nitro, so I would say this is probably a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
Hogan cuts a promo on Piper.
Dog, I have notes.
I don't care about your notes.
Ryan wants to go play Call of Duty.
Larry Zbyszko pulls out a box of Bengay, saying the Savage would need it after his match later on the show against Benoit. I guess that's the wrong guy to say you need this Bengay for, isn't it? Boy, if they'd known now what they didn't know in 2005, they probably would have changed that a little bit. Got anything else for this episode of Nitro?
Oh, now you want my notes?
I don't want all your notes, but give me what your highlights are. All right, moving on. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go.
Are you sure?
Have I cut you off yet?
Anyway, if Mongo beats Jeff Jarrett at Halloween Havoc, Deborah must leave WCW. Macho gets murdered on this episode, air quote, murdered by a diamond cutter onto concrete after those two continue their little bullshit. Piper,
it should have cut right through it.
Huh?
It's a diamond. It cuts right through the concrete.
It cut right through Savage. It murdered him. He
Oh,
died.
okay, gotcha.
I mean, at least that's
So-
what the NWO played it up like.
So it snapped him
If
like
you
a Slim
remember at
Jim?
this point,
Got it.
Piper is the
Commissioner?
commissioner. Yeah. That whole thing's going on.
Which is ironic because literally a year ago, the same time, he was the president of the World Wrestling Federation.
Well, he does mention at the beginning of it all, I have some
Mhm.
experience doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's when he slapped the shit out of Dustin at WrestleMania.
One of the cool things we get from this month is they start the Luchador video packages on Nitro, giving us a little more background detail on a lot of the Luchador stuff and how it started. They're quick little blurbs, but they're very informative if you didn't know. And I think they're one of the better parts of the Nitros that they do. We get Perfect and Redacted brawling with the NWO ganging up on Redacted, and Flair comes out to save him, literally chases Perfect out of the arena. Like you see Henning rounding the building just for Flair to come back in and cut a promo in the middle of the ring. It was kind of weird, but kind of cool all in one. I was like, wow, that just happened. Okay. There's really not a lot. I mean, Disco Inferno is going to have to fight Jacqueline at Halloween Havoc. Find that out in the middle of a match. Originally for the belt, we find out, I think, on a later Nitro that the state of Las Vegas will allow the match, but not for a championship. Don't know if that was true. Well, you got to remember it's Vegas, and they're big with boxing, and they have
when you wrestle in Las Vegas and stuff, they have the athletic commission works for both sports, boxing and wrestling. So the idea of both of them, a championship to a athletic commission means a lot more than just a prop. So they take it at the same value as a boxing championship. So you wouldn't have a man versus a woman for a boxing title. You can't have a man and a woman versus for any kind of championship.
Gotcha.
But I mean, they're really on a month-long build to Halloween Havoc. I mean, they're really driving home the matches. Which, if you remember right, because we started on this back in September, it's DDP and Macho 3, Flair and Henning after Flair's whole head smashing incident with the cage at War Games. Mongo and Deborah splitting, so that whole thing's going on, which that split's going to take a twist here in the next Nitro. I think it's the next Nitro, or the one after it, but before Halloween Havoc. No Goldberg on this one either. We get him next week. Do we want to go to Nitro 13th?
Sure.
Trying to talk about my October 6th Raw?
I mean, you want to? You want to break it up? I'm just trying to speed this up.
Ryan, you're the host of this bitch.
I mean, you are too, dog.
When it comes to this wrestling thing,
you wanted it, you got it. Go. October 6th, Raw.
Yeah, October 6th, Monday Night Raw comes from the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. A lot of history in Kansas City for wrestling. A 10-bell salute was given in memory of Brian Pillman. It says here died the previous night, but he would have died Saturday night from an undetected heart condition. Get the match. We started with the Headbangers versus the Godwins in a lumberjack match. It was interesting. They're the former champs facing the current champs. The current champs wouldn't put the belts on the line, but the Headbangers win by the help of LOD using the bucket. But LOD is the ones that are going to get the tag title shot later on this month.
Yeah, that made no sense. It didn't.
The returning Mark Marrow.
Did you see the picture of Mark Marrow and Sable I sent you?
Yeah. Mark Marrow making his return to the ring. They've kind of been teasing his return the last couple weeks. He's been out. He had blown his knee out
Looks
last year.
completely different.
Totally drops the wild man gimmick, shaves his head. He's running his boxer gimmick. He is a Gold Glove boxer from way back. Kind of starting to show his jealousy side towards Sabre because she's becoming ultra popular this time. Defeats Miguel Perez, the debut of the finishing move that would later own the company. He shows you the TKO. This is the match we were talking about with The Rock. Kind of still proves that the Hart Foundation is still above the nation as far as groups go. The Bulldog gets a win over the Rock, with both teams around ringside.
And the win
Owen,
comes out of nowhere.
he hits him with the power slam. That's his finish.
Does he?
Yeah.
I thought this one was a roll up.
Owen defends the Intercontinental title that he just won the night before against Hulk. I believe Stone Cold helps him again, interferes again. Austin has a interview segment with Vince saying that he wants being reinstated. Vince says, "You signed this piece of paper, you're reinstated."
It goes on longer than it needs to because he's like, "No, Vince, you sign it first.
Yeah.
I don't trust you."
Austin makes the agreement that he'll sign the paper as long as Vince can provide him with paper documents proving that he gets a championship match against Owen at the most current event, whatever. It was kind of stupid back and forth. And then this was great. Me and AJ were watching this one together. So the next match is a tag team match. It's supposed to be the Hardy Boys versus the Truth Commission. This is a way different version of the Hardy Boys than we would see not a year later. This is not your big baggy pants, tight colored shirts, arm wraps. This is bright colors and plaid and tassels and all this stuff. And I just remember them showing up on screen and AJ goes, "Holy shit, that was the Hardys?" And then the lights went off. The red light came on. Kane comes out, double choke slams both of them, and I'm like, "That was the Hardys."
They're the first victims of Kane.
It's like put that into your pipe and smoke it. The trivia question of who was Kane's first victims after his debut the next night, and I bet people wouldn't put it on the Hardy Boys, but that was the Hardy Boys were the first people that Kane took out after Bad Blood. And then the main event, of course, we had the promos at the beginning of the show that we didn't talk about. The same bullshit back and forth between Shawn and Brett. They can't stand each other. They don't want to work with each other.
Where Brett calls him a degenerate, and
Brett calls both Hunter and Shawn homos. Says that's what the H's stand for in their names. This is also the popular video where you have DX is going to show footage from Bad Blood, and they don't want to show it. They're not going to show it. Then all of a sudden, there's a camera roll, and it's the curtain call from the earlier in the year with Hall and Nash and Triple H and Shawn in the ring at MSG. They're commentating over it where Shawn's like, "Hey, that's you, and that's me, and I was a good guy, and you were a bad guy. What are we doing?" And you can tell that Lawler and Ross are not happy that this is being shown because at this point it hadn't been shown anywhere. I mean, it had been leaked on the internet a little bit, but internet wasn't booming quite yet, in my opinion. So you can really tell that Lawler's pissed because Lawler comes back with a comment later on to Vince like, "Are you going to let them embarrass you like they did earlier?" Because they embarrassed the whole company earlier. And you could just tell in his tone that he was being serious, and Vince tried to shrug it off, and it didn't work at all.
How far from the screw job are we?
A month. A month. At this point, and the three of us are gonna once we get done this, the three of us are gonna watch. Not tonight. I meant once we get done these 2 months. Me and us three are gonna sit down, and I'm gonna show you Wrestling with Shadows. So you can see what the whole build of this whole year was for Brett. And then the aftermath of the screw jobs.
Does it follow him right to WCW?
It ends at Survivor Series. It ends when they leave the arena, which is what you need. You need the backstage part of the whole thing. Of course, then Brett challenges Triple H to a match later on that night. It goes to a count out. It's just this. This is where you get the iconic moments of Shawn where he's got his nose. He takes the Canadian flag and shoves it in his nose. I know that would piss TJ off for being his home country. Shoves it in his nose and stands there at the ring and pulls on it and all that kind of stuff. It's just this childish, stupid games that
Look at
Shawn
TJ
plays.
trying to be the citizen.
And it's clear as day at this point. Shawn is a prick.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
just be honest. He
Even
is
Hunter.
a prick. He makes the comment earlier in the night that the word icon is being thrown around a lot, and that
Remember, of the Canadian is the one that wanted to see the Liberty Bell.
well, let's not forget there was a tag team in the '80s that carried those little flags around and everything, and they had a theme song and they called themselves the All American Boys. They were French Canadians called the Rougeos. So you can play that game all you want. We know that you're from South Canada.
I'm sorry, y'all are bad at geography and don't recognize Vermont as the 14th state of 50.
But anyhow, I digress. So Shawn, the icon's been thrown around a lot lately, and he's talking about Piper and Hogan on the other show, and that the strongest force in the wrestling world is the Click, referring to him and Hunter being Click North, and Shawn and or Hall and Nash being Click South.
But don't forget 6.
Why would I want to forget about 6?
Wasn't he part of the clique?
Yeah.
See, you already forgot.
I don't know about that one, AJ.
I already got rid of it.
Okay.
Continue.
On to Monday Night Nitro, live from Cheyenne tonight. No, I'm just kidding. That's Brady Rumble.
You said did you do his 13th of?
No, I'm
We
doing
did-
your 13th. We
do
did
his
the
13th. Do his 13th.
You gonna fall asleep on us?
No, his 13th is more important.
Why is that?
Well, there's a very famous thing that happens on this Raw. Did you not note it? Give you a hint. It involves Jim Cornette.
Oh, we're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
We watched those.
Those were
We watched
freaking
it.
great.
I'm just saying.
Did he not do it the week before too?
But this one being with the following Pillman's death.
Yeah.
And if you just watch the Netflix documentary like we all have with Vince.
Fuck Phil Mentions. He's just as
Well,
bad as
that's
bad as
pretty much what Cornette says.
That's the
He's-
second one. This one is
he's-
all about WCW and
No.
how they're.
No, this is
The one from the week we just covered was the one about WCW. I missed
Oh,
it.
okay. This one's about.
That was the first.
This is
I'm
the
Jim
Pillman
Cornette,
and the
and that's
Mushnick.
my fault.
This is the one all about Mushnick and Pillman and not
Yeah,
giving a crap what
Munchkin-
company.
Muchnick blames WWE for Pillman's death, of course, because Phil Muchnick's going to blame anybody that's associated with the WWF because him, like Dave Meltzer, hate the WWF.
I'm just saying this interview still pops up in like those on this day in history.
Munchnick and Meltzer can go, kids, earmuffs, go fuck themselves. They're trying to ruin the business that most of us love with a passion and don't know the insides, think they know the
I
insides.
thought he was going to
and
give himself a heart attack during these.
could just step back and watch them.
I love how serious Cornette gets.
Cornette, while I do not follow him politically wise, I think he's off a little bit on that one. His opinions on professional wrestling, I care deeply about. Me and him, I will take it as me and Cornette are both very old school on our ways of thinking of how wrestling should be. And this was a time era where old school was going away and new school was coming a thing. DX ruining kayfabe with the
Curtain call.
the curtain
What
call
are you
video.
doing? I'm a good guy.
That's breaking kayfabe, and kayfabe to me was important. But we're getting into this time area in 1997 where the internet's becoming more popular. people that are now sitting in their houses in Maryland can now get updates on what happened on a house show in New York City, whereas before you would have never known what happened. Same
I
way.
mean, all the WCW pay-per-views, you got wrestlers sitting literally doing interviews online.
Yeah, the online interviews are becoming more and more of a thing. True. The main event, the main match for this card, the LOD versus the Godwins for the WWF World Tag Titles. It was a retirement match. If the Godwins won and LOD lost, the LOD was going to retire.
So I basically heard that and I was like, well, LOD's winning, so
Yeah.
and this is where the Godwins turn on Uncle Cletus.
Yeah, because Cletus botches the interference, causing them to lose.
Yep.
They destroy him. They drill him with their lucky horseshoe that's been up their ass since Hillbilly Jim was there. Uncle Cletus is never seen from again.
He
Sad to
wasn't
see
there
Uncle
long.
Cletus. Have no clue who Uncle Cletus was. Never took the time out to figure out who he was either. But the show opens. Owen Hart defeats Kama Mustafa in a no contest Intercontinental Championship. One guess, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's going to make sure Owen keeps the belt until he gets a chance at him.
Yep.
Rematch from Bad Blood. Max Mini and Nova versus Mosaic and Tarantula go 2 minutes and 25 seconds. So that means it was a 4 minute and 50-minute match. Or
Oh,
4 minute and 50-second match.
Small little bug.
Shawn Michaels defeats Flash Funk. I don't think there was much of a match because don't they take him out before, and all he does is super kick him, pin him, or do they have
Kane
an
takes him
actual
out.
match?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Kane
he
kicks
just
out
slides
Flash
in the ring.
and pins him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hunter's the one that counts the 3.
Yeah. Skull and 8 Ball of the Disciples of Apocalypse with Chain and Crush defeat the Truth Commission, Recon, and Sniper with Jackal. They've now gotten rid of the original manager of the Truth Commission. He was not a very good mouthpiece. They've replaced him with the Jackal. The Jackal, everybody knows now, is Don Callis in AEW. The Callis family, that's the Jackal. He goes on to go to ECW. When ECW goes to TNT television at the end of 1999, he portrays the character of Cyrus the Virus, kind of a play on the Con Air character.
Yep.
He is basically what he is in ECW is he's supposed to be a network executive that because TNT used ECW to get WWF television. Once they got WWF television, they could care less about their ECW television and they would kick them off the air to put Rollerball or something on. So he's a character supposed to be from TNN and he's trying to shoot a show up. It was a really interesting time in ECW. Brian Christopher defeats Tajiri. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's a different Tajiri. He's wearing blue and white, no baggy pants, clean face. Hasn't gone to ECW yet.
Doesn't even look like him.
Goldust and Marlena defeat Savio Vega. Ahmed Johnson and Triple H go to a no contest. I believe that's a Kane interference. Kane takes out Ahmed Johnson. I remember Ahmed being one of the early victims of Kane. And I think this is the end of Ahmed. I don't think you see him again. I think this finishes out Ahmed Johnson.
Not this month. He's done.
Legion of Doom, of course, defeat the Godwins to win the WWF tag titles. Their dark matches where Bret the Hitman Hart defeats Triple H for the WWF title. The Legion of Doom defeat the Hart Foundation for the tag titles, or to retain the tag titles. And then pulling double duty in a dark match. The Undertaker defeats Bret Hart by disqualification for the WWF title. Not much here. The one thing I've noticed watching both shows, WWF doesn't build their pay-per-view until that month starts. Unless it's a beginning of the month pay-per-view. If it's a beginning of the month pay-per-view, they'll build all the way up to it. WCW, once that pay-per-view ends,
the next one's building.
start building to the next one every single time. It may be confusing on what they're building, and what they're start building on may not be built by the time they get to the pay-per-view, and they have to call an audible on things.
I
Like the
mean,
very start of this next Nitro.
they've already started building Shawn versus Brett with the DX stuff and the Hart Foundation stuff, and they're building Kane and the Undertaker along with Steve Austin and Owen.
Well, they're building Kane. You have no Undertaker.
Yeah.
You haven't seen Undertaker since Bad Blood. You don't see Undertaker till after all of this.
Unless you're there for the
You're
dark
building
match.
you're building Shawn and Brett, and you're building Owen and Austin, but you're not really building Survivor Series matches as of yet. We know the tagline for Survivor Series is gang warfare or gang rules or whatever. So you know you're gonna get these factions and matches. You just don't know.
You're telling me, because the
which
only thing I
ones yet.
remember from that Survivor Series is...
The one thing you need is screw job. But anyhow, moving on.
So, the next Nitro, I'm assuming, took place at a place that melted?
I think it's won a couple Stanley Cups there.
Is that where they play? The Ice Palace?
I'm pretty sure it's the same place.
I have no idea. The
Knowing
Ice Palace
WCW,
in
they're gonna
Tampa,
go with the big
Florida.
arenas. Interesting card I'm looking at here. Your first dark match is Norman Smiley versus La Parca. And your second dark match, are you ready for this? You guys probably might not know who this guy is. Bubba the Love Sponge with Jimmy Hart defeats Texas Hangman 1. Bubba the Love Sponge is a radio disc jockey. He's shock jock, like next underneath of like Howard and Mad Cow, who is from Chicago.
I was going to say, the
Bubba
name's
was, like, the
familiar, but
next
not
guy.
with wrestling.
Bubba and Hulk Hogan for years were friends because they're from the Tampa area. I would almost bet that this dark match was something that they built on Bubba's radio show over weeks. And then this is how it played out. They didn't do it on TV, they did it as a dark match. Bubba was the one whose wife slept with Hogan. Bubba's the one that recorded the video, sold it, and then created the whole Gawker website lawsuit with Hogan here when Hogan had all of his demons and struggles and everything. So they're not friends anymore because Bubba sold him out. But at this time, Hogan and Bubba were friends.
I never knocked on no one.
Yeah, well, same way for Meltzer and Muchnick. Bubba, fuck off.
Guerrero defeats Psychosis to retain. Mongo defeats Regal. Yuji Nagata defeats Jericho. Goldberg defeats Scotty Riggs in 234. The Steiner brothers defeat Hall and Six to win the tag team gold. Special referee Larry Zbyszko. Dean Malenko defeats Ray. Scott Flash Norton defeats Ray Traylor. Disco Inferno defeats Alex Wright to retain. Kurt Hennig defeats DDP to retain. Notes I have for the show are at the top of the first note I had is that Jeff Jarrett's left. Bye, Jeff Jarrett. Nice knowing you.
Don't worry, we find him in next week.
And he looks nothing like Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett has left the company. Remember, it was supposed to be Jeff Jarrett versus Mongo at Halloween Havoc for Deborah's future in the WCW. Now it's, what's going on here? Yuji Nagata's working with Sonny Ono to punish Ultimo Dragon. More creepy Raven vignettes, this time from a baby nursery. He also has people sitting with him at ringside. Some unknown dude and Perry Saturn are the first ones that they show.
The first guy have long hair and
Kinda. They didn't
kind
know
of a
who he
goatee.
was. They didn't know who he was.
His name is, I know who it is though. It's Sick Boy. He is a product of the WCW power plant. He really doesn't do anything. I think in all the time I watched WCW, he may have wrestled twice that I remember.
Goldberg gets his 4th win in a row.
He won't amount to anything.
They've named his finisher the Jackhammer. The ref gets taken out. Larry comes out and counts 3 for the Steiner Brothers Championship. Piper was gloating after that match, and the NWO comes out and waves to take him out. Hogan was dressed as one of the fake Stings. Billy Kidman joined Raven's crew. Nitro running long. There's controversy. Piper tried to award the belt to DDP because DDP's about to win it, and like there's an interference with Flair, and it's like one of those this is happening as this is happening, and like the ref's hands hitting 3, but the guy's in the ring, and no, Randy Anderson doesn't allow it to happen, even though the commissioner's telling him this is what happened. He's the champion. Randy Anderson's like, no.
Because the referee's decision is final.
There's literally an army of fake Stings coming to the ring through the crowd. Like, I bet you there was 20-ish of these fake Stings, and they just kept getting like knocked down. They were coming from the aisleways, everywhere, to the point that finally the real Sting pops up in the ring.
Is this the one? Is this the one where Buff punches him, and he thinks it's another fake Sting, and he punches him, and Sting just stands there, and Buff does his little dance thing.
Yes.
And then he turns around and gets dropped with it. I love that one. That's one of my favorite ones. Because they're all wearing the mask.
Yeah. And he thought it was a fan, and he takes it, he's like...
Yeah, I love that one. That's one of my favorite ones. And
that's...
honestly, at this time, this may come to a shock to you too. At this time, I'm Team Sting. I like the vigilante character of Sting to the point where I dressed as Sting for Halloween that year.
Really?
It just gets really confusing with the amount of fake Stings.
Like, I still liked Hogan, but I really liked the Sting Crow character. Not that I knew what Crow was, because I hadn't seen the movie yet. But
that's the close of the show.
It's heating up for sure. Well, we're going to stay with you, because we're going to go to you for this Nitro, go to him for that Raw, and then back to you for your pay-per-view. Because October the 20th, Monday Night Nitro from Biloxi, Mississippi. I'll run through the results for you. You give me your notes. Eddie Guerrero defeats Chris Benoit to retain the Cruiserweight title. Bill Goldberg defeats Wrath in 20 seconds.
20 seconds. I think they're pulling the trigger on Goldberg at this point.
And he still won't mount to nothing. Steve Mongo McMichael defeats Mortis in 4 minutes, 56 seconds.
Mind you, this is a go-home show.
Yuji Nagata defeats Juventud Guerrera in 2 minutes, 23 seconds. Rey Mysterio Jr. defeats Disco Inferno by DQ. It was a WCW Television Championship match.
I think Jacqueline had a hand in it.
Kurt Hennig defeated Dean Malenko to retain the U.S. title. In a rematch from the week before, Scott Norton defeated Ray Traylor. Lex Luger defeats Booker T. Scott Hall defeats Scott Steiner.
The show kicks off with a bunch of NWO guys taken out backstage. There's a Piper shirt there, a bat, DDP sprayed on the ground, alluding to the culprits. This ends up bringing Bischoff, Macho, and Hogan to the ring, saying they're going to get him tonight. Hogan makes note of the massive cage above the ring, the 20 really oversized wannabe Hell in a Cell.
So yeah, 2 weeks before this, we have the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view where nobody knew what this cage was going to look like. Now, granted, this type cage has been used before in the 80s. This big. There was a cage, a Hell in a Cell type cage used in the 80s in Georgia for a match between Tommy Rich and Buzz Sawyer. Same concept as that Hell in a Cell cage was. And as we've seen the Hell in a Cell, it's gotten wider. There's more room. If you watch the Shawn Undertaker Hell in a Cell match, they don't have a lot of ringside area to work with. Now they have the whole area to work with for their Hell in a Cells. Piper introduces this cage. When I first saw it, I was like, that looks so brittle. I thought it was made out of the cheap hollow metal of like cheap fencing is what I thought it looked like.
Yeah.
Like I was waiting for like
Someone
we'll
to
get
step
into
on it
when
and bend.
yeah, I was waiting for it to bend under people. It looked so flimsy and it just looked cheap as shit. And it's like WCW is a bigger company at this point than the WWF. And they put no thought into this, but hey, we've got 2 weeks to make a cage bigger than their cage. And that's what they went for. Their cage was bigger. It was taller. But that's all it was. It wasn't any better. It was pretty crappy. And it's now the main event of Halloween Havoc to keep everybody out. But there's no roof on it. All right. So,
There was a roof on our cage, and they went
Yeah.
up there.
yeah.
Anyway,
October 9th,
I
October 20th.
wasn't done yet.
Oh, I
Wait,
thought
the
you were
first
done.
no. That was the first no.
Oh, you said 2 notes, but go ahead.
Goldberg beat Wrath quicker than he beat Lesnar in that one time. Mongo and Goldberg have a run-in the aisleway because apparently, after Goldberg beats Wrath in 20 seconds, Mongo's going to come fight Mortis for like a bit longer. By the way, I wanted to ask you, who is Mortis? Do we know him outside of being Mortis?
Yeah, it's Chris Canyon.
Pretty good wrestler. I'm not
Who
gonna lie.
better than Canyon? Yeah, Chris Canyon was a hell of a wrestler. He's also the stunt double for Jimmy the King in the Ready to Rumble movie.
Okay.
But yeah, Chris Canyon was always a really good wrestler. He's the innovator. What the hell they end up calling him? The innovator of offense or something like that later on when he eventually drops the mask and becomes Canyon again.
Yeah, Mongo gets interviewed. Deborah taunts him about who he's gonna fight. Another cryptic Raven promo from an abandoned playground, and he literally quotes Fleetwood Mac's Landslide. I'm like, really? Okay, that's happening now. NWO back in the ring, saying no one's leaving the building this evening until they get DDP, Piper, and Sting.
I mean, he quotes Edgar Allan Poe every time he finishes an interview.
It's true, but I mean, he literally like verbatim. Luger and Larry Zbyszko promo for the pay-per-view. Hall promo for the pay-per-view. We run long again. Finally, we get Bischoff, Macho, and Hogan in the ring. And, they're still looking for those 3 and more fake Sting head down. And eventually Piper and DDP as a Sting sneak in behind him and start attacking him. The NWO comes out. There's a big old brawl with the 2 of them getting taken down. The cage comes down and traps kind of everybody inside, and then Sting rappels down behind it. Everybody starts freaking out, and it's really hilarious watching NWO members try to figure out how the hell to get out of this thing. I think they forget there's a door on it, other than like Bischoff and whoever drags him out through the door. But yeah, the cage got set down, and everybody's like, "Whoa, Halloween Havoc! I can't wait to watch what this happens."
Probably because it was put up in the arena, and then they all got there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're using this at the end of the night. We'll be fine."
But
yeah, October 20th, 1997, Monday Night Raw, live from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, at the Madrid Convention Center.
Yeah, that 10 times fast.
The Nation
No.
of Domination.
The Nation, and The Rock defeat. I guess I was wrong because they're defeating Ahmed Johnson and Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, that's why I said
here.
almost done with him.
I guess Survivor Series is actually probably when he's done because they're definitely setting up the Nation versus Ahmed, Shamrock, and the LOD. Bret Hart with the Hart Foundation defeats Farouk. Mark Mero defeats AJ's new favorite 1997 wrestler, Brian Christopher. Champion versus champion. Owen Hart and Shawn Michaels go to a no contest.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Stone Cold again.
Hits the ref with a stunner, and immediately hitting the ring is Bret Hart from backstage to go after Shawn. And then DX comes out to save Shawn. And then Rick Rude is like, "No, you will not touch him. No."
Dude Love and the British Bulldog go to a no contest. The new
Kane again.
Kane again. The The new tag team of Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg defeat the Headbangers in 4
They'll
minutes and
never
4
be
seconds.
anything. They'll never be anything.
And then
Oh, you didn't know?
Takamichi Noku. Is this go home for Survivor Series? Not yet. Right? No, we're not
We're
even
still
close,
in
right?
October.
Well, this is a really shitty ending to this Raw.
What with
Takamichi Noku versus Tajiri, and then the Disciples of Apocalypse versus the Godwins.
the match doesn't
in a
even
no
start.
contest.
All the tag teams in the WWF hit the ring and brawl.
That should be the go home for Survivor Series, not in the middle of the month.
Really?
Yeah, you send them home for Survivor Series the same way you send them home for the Royal Rumble. You always have a big schmoz in the middle of the ring.
It was a good way to end it, though. I enjoyed it.
And then do you want to talk about the guy that's missing from his show that I think he popped up on your show?
I thought it was next week.
No, it's this week.
Oh yeah, Jeff Jarrett shows up, comes down to the ring, and says, "Bischoff, since you didn't see anything in me, I left. Didn't quit. I left." And then runs down Vince too, like your new boss. Like how he hated the musical gimmick.
Yeah, well, we're getting ready to have this inflection in the WWF where the NWA makes a return, and Jarrett's the lead. Jarrett and Cornette are the lead guys in that group. They crown Jeff Jarrett the NWA North American champion, and they have the NWA tag titles. It gets clustered. Like, this is the part of Jeff Jarrett where they make fun of him. You've ever heard them make fun of Jeff Jarrett, which is all the time, but they call the one where he's wearing the Indian outfit. We're getting ready to see that. You'll see when you see it, you'll laugh at it.
I was like, I have no clue what you're talking about. This is going to be a first time for me.
It looks like a mosaic that he's wearing as a ring gear. It's kind of funny.
They're basically ribbing Jeff Jarrett this whole second run he's got with the WWF.
No, because it turns into getting his head shaved and "Don't Piss Me Off," and the guitar shots started in the WWF. They start on this run, but the first part of his run is a little sus. So we're gonna move away from you.
This was a fun Raw.
I'll have to go back and watch it again.
This was a very fun Raw, especially with Stone Cold hitting the ring 4 or 5 times, and then Kane and.
It might be the one who falls asleep. Never mind. So WCW Halloween Havoc 1997 MSG Grand Garden Arena, 12,457 people in attendance. The tagline: "Snapping through the madness," because it's sponsored by Slim Jims. Halloween Havoc. It always was.
As long as there's no monster trucks involved.
True. Yuji Nagata defeated Ultimo Dragon by submission to start the show. They go 9 minutes and 42 seconds. Chris Jericho defeats Gaido by submission. The Japanese star. Very fun match to watch. This is probably, without a doubt, the most iconic match between both of these guys. Rey Mysterio Jr. defeats Eddie Guerrero in a title versus mask match to win the Cruiserweight title. This, of course, is Rey in his purple garb. Eddie's pulling at the mask, tears it almost all the way off. He has like a Spider-Man 2 type deal going on where you can make out part of his face. Deborah has decided that Alex Wright will be the guy that faces Steve McMichael, and he beats
sort of. Well, I'll get to the notes on that.
Go to details with it.
Oh, I had notes for the whole show if you wanted to keep finishing the card.
No, we're good. We'll stop. We'll get your notes here.
So it was actually Goldberg who she had picked out. She trades Mongo's Super Bowl ring for Goldberg's services.
Is this where Goldberg's giving everybody the finger because that's where he's keeping the Super Bowl ring?
Goldberg comes out like mid-match. Somehow the ref, air quote, doesn't see or feel the ring shake as Goldberg delivers a jackhammer to Mongo. Literally looks over at him as he's tossing Alex Wright on top of Mongo He's like, oh, didn't see that. And then counts 3, and Alex Wright wins, so Deborah doesn't leave. And then Deborah gives Goldberg the Super Bowl ring, and Goldberg's like, I'll just keep this because he's next. So now we've got the he's next thing going, and we're full sending Goldberg.
So again, let's go with another trivia question here. Goldberg starts his run as a heel.
And who's next? The first victim is Mongo.
And the funnier part is, this match was not for anything important because Deborah still leaves WCW to go to WWF eventually.
We did have Bischoff and Hogan claiming earlier in the night that that the match with Piper and Hogan was off.
They always do.
Because that's Mr. What stroke do you have for you?
Jacqueline defeated Disco Inferno in a singles match. It goes 9 minutes 39 seconds.
Kind of hilarious.
It probably went 9 minutes too long. Kurt Hennig defeats Ric Flair by disqualification for the U.S. title match. Lex Luger defeats Scott Hall in Lex Luger and Scott Hall go to a no contest with Larry Zbyszko as the special guest referee. I'm guessing more interference.
That match definitely had a definitive ending. It shouldn't say no contest. It was restarted. Larry originally counts 3 for Hall, but then asks for a video replay to see it, realizes Six had kicked Luger in the back of the head, and literally is like, you get back here, I'm restarting the match, and starts counting him out for not coming back to the ring, to which he rushes back, gets racked, Larry's calling for the bell, and Larry gets taken out as he's calling for the bell. I mean, technically the bell rings.
And then
Luger's the winner.
Savage versus DDP in a Las Vegas sudden death match. So this is Savage Page 3 for the year. Does it pay off the way the other two did, or is this one not as good?
It's not as good. It's good, but it's not as good. It's not the highlight. Like, it's not the closing match you'd hope for these two.
So in the best of 3 that was this, Savage wins 2-1, am I correct?
I believe.
Great American Bash, he wins the lights out match, and then before that, Page wins the match at Spring Stampede.
I think the best part.
I want to take the diamond cutter.
I think the best part about this is at one point Liz gets up on the ring apron and hits the referee with like a platter plate, and then chokes DDP out with a camera cord because they had broke a camera in the ring, which they mentions like $100,000. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then Kimberly comes out and drags Liz to the back by her hair.
That's a cat fight I would have paid to see. And then in the main event, you had Roddy Piper defeat Hulk Hogan, technical submission inside this ginormous, cheaply built cage.
Mind you, there was interferences and things.
The star of this by far is Randy Savage.
20 feet!
He jumps 20 off the 20-foot cage into the 3 to 4 foot ring, so 16 feet to the ground. His knees buckle underneath of him. TJ sends me a text earlier today. He's like, how did he not break his knees? How did he not break his legs? He does do severe damage to his knees.
I didn't see why.
But he's a worker, and he works through it, and I don't think he gets surgery for like another 6 months.
J.J. Dillon had returned earlier in the night, and they talk about some paper that they had signed. I think if Sting showed up, the NWO had some sort of like claim to Nitro, which fake Sting show up but not actual Sting.
Now, I didn't watch this back, but I've watched this one enough to remember partial. There's a lot of different Stings, but a lot of masked fake Stings. But isn't there a Sting standing like in the aisleway with wet hair? All the other ones are wearing wigs, but he's got wet hair, and like you presume that is Sting because he has the Sting build, but he doesn't move. He like lets them run by him in the aisleway. Okay, I was trying to remember.
6.
I think as a kid I swore it was Sting, just Sting not doing anything because it was Piper.
Well, at one point a Sting is like under Hogan and gets him to go back up the cage as Hogan's trying to claw him out.
Yeah.
And like I
well,
said, it seemed like the NWO had their own stings to try to like make the whole thing if Sting shows up work in their favor.
well, I mean, the announcers are blind as a bat because, I mean, we had a 7 foot tall Sting, and it was Sting. No, it was Kevin Nash. You dumb
Right.
shits. But
Um,
I distinctly remember all of the fake Stings have black short haired wigs on, and you can clearly see as day that they are not Sting.
I mean, it could have been
And,
Wrath or Mortis even. Like we
and
wouldn't
then
have
I
known.
and then I remember there being a wet. I remember his hair being
It's
wet,
he's definitely different.
and he's standing in the middle of the ring entrance, and he just lets them run by him. And I think like Hall or Nash or somebody like shoulder shrugs him as he runs by him, and
So
he just stands there.
we all know the rules of a ladder match, right? You get out of the cage, you win. However you do it,
You
or
mean the rules of a cage match? Yes.
sure, yeah. At one point, they both go through the door at the same time, but the match continues.
I think it was made clear that the match had to be a submission or a pinfall. That
Well,
the
but they
cage was
said if Hogan
only.
escaped, he would win. But then they both go through, so
It's
it was
WCW. It's WCW booking, my friend.
Piper wins, but ends up cuffed to the cage. And the biggest note, and honestly, the ending of this pay per view was kind of weird. A fan climbs into the ring,
This is where Savage beats the shit out of the fan.
and like security's trying to like get the fan away, and Hogan and Savage are going at this guy.
That's what you do when you're in this business. A fan gets in the ring, it's a threat. You make sure it's purposely known. Don't
Like
do this
he got
again.
taken down by a fake Sting and is being held there.
Uh-huh.
That might
And
even have been like I don't know
and
who it was.
Savage is kicking the shit out of him.
Hogan and Savage go get him, drag him in, and just start annihilating him. I mean, like security is having a hard time getting them off of him.
Yeah.
They're probably like, we're gonna get sued, even though this
Nope.
guy's a moron.
Nope. Back in the day, you know what they would have done with him? They would have drug him to the back, stuck him in a broom closet somewhere, waited for the boys to get in the back. The boys would handle their business, and that dude would get thrown out the back door. And that's how they take care of business. One rule of professional wrestling: don't ever get in the ring if you're not
No.
supposed to be in the ring. You will get annihilated, whether it's by the wrestlers or the referee.
Well, and of course he was Sting face painted too.
Well, that
But even the
WCW
ring announcers are like, I don't think we should be airing this. And they just
Yeah.
kind of the pay per view just kind of ends.
Yeah,
I won't lie,
remem-
the very ending of the pay per view was kind of lackluster,
Well, it was to write Piper off.
even though he won.
Well, he gets the win over Hogan. It doesn't change anything moving forward, but it was to write him off because he's no longer needed as the president of WCW.
No, but it
now
was
that
for the
JJ's
belt.
back. Still, you knew moving forward. I knew as a kid that Piper wasn't.
It's just kind of funny that
to-
he wins. Technically, he's the champion, and
You knew going in, whether Piper won or not, Hogan was going to keep the world title.
and they kick off Nitro with that very fact.
Well, let's go there.
And it's a 3-hour one that I just zipped through.
We'll wrap this up real quick. October 27th, Monday Night Nitro from the Cox Arena in San Diego, California. You have Mr. 619 starting off the show. Rey Mysterio Jr. defeats Dean Malenko to retain the WCW Cruiserweight title. Championship, I'm sorry. Glacier defeats La Parka. Lex Luger defeats Stevie Ray. Eddie Guerrero defeats Chris Jericho. Chris Benoit defeats Fit Finlay. Raven defeats Scotty Riggs. Is this where Scotty gets his eye hurt?
I believe.
Because, Diamond Dallas Page defeats Hollywood Hulk Hogan by disqualification in what was for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Disco Inferno and Bill Goldberg ended a no contest for the WCW World Television title.
That was a continuation of the night prior. It was supposed to be Alex Wright and Disco, but Goldberg murdered him before he got to the ring.
Nice. And the Steiner Brothers with DiBiase defeat Public Enemy to retain the tag titles. Kurt Hennig defeats Booker T by disqualification to retain the U.S. title. I'm going to go with Flair interference on that. As you can see, they're starting to split Harlem Heat somewhat. They're
Yes.
both in singles matches.
Apparently, Stevie Ray was out with an Achilles injury, but now he's back like a month later, so it couldn't have been that bad.
Yeah. And then Ric Flair defeats Randy Savage by disqualification.
Yeah.
So basically, Halloween Havoc's over with. So
Next
they claim to
stuff's
still be the
building.
world champion.
Correct.
not gonna-
the show
they-
kicks off with Bischoff and Hogan gloating about how
I-
they won the night prior.
I can tell you, main event wise, there's not going to be a huge build to the next pay per view because it's World War III. That's a 60-man 3-ring battle royal for anybody that's never seen it.
I can't wait.
It is entertaining to watch. They have very different rules than the Royal Rumble, but that's the main event for that show. The winner gets a world title shot at Super Brawl.
This is where we get the start of Larry waiting for his match with Hall.
Yes.
He has a signed contract as soon as Hall stops being a coward.
So build to Halloween or being to World War III. On the other show, October 27th, Monday Night Raw, live from the Tulsa Convention Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We get Hunter with China and Sean defeats Goldust.
China
Ahmed-
rails Goldust with Marlena's purse.
Nice.
And there's a big ass freaking brick in it. Once again.
Ahmed Johnson defeats Owen Hart by disqualification. I'm gonna bet on Stone Cold interference.
Yep.
I love how you're not doing everything but give me the middle finger. Like I'm gonna stick them knuckles up. I'm gonna frog the shit out of Fry. Here we go.
Well, you said to be not as sweary, and those mean the F word.
I don't
So-
care. It's 10 o'clock on a Sunday. Bret Hart versus Ken Shamrock ends in a no contest for the WWF title. This team still, I agree with TJ, won't amount to much. Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg defeat the new Blackjacks.
But
Blackjack Bradshaw,
What they
Blackjack
do to the
Wyndham.
Blackjacks is effed up. They take their cowboy hats, go to the ring posts, and just there goes the top of them.
Damn. Mark Merrow in his second match back defeats Flash Funk, hits him with the TKO. The Legion of Doom defeat the Los Boricuas to retain the WWF tag titles.
Who are the Blackjacks?
Bradshaw and Barry Windham.
That's what I thought. Just wanted to see. That's who I thought it was.
The Undertaker defeats
never
Bret
amount to
Hart
anything
by
either.
disqualification for the WWF title. The Wyndham guy, he's dried up. He's over with. He's already been World Heavyweight Champion once or twice. That Bradshaw guy, though, I think he needs to put a little bit more money behind himself. Get himself a limo, put bullhorns on
Okay,
it.
so
I mean, he also
Do
could
you-
just, he could protect you better.
what's better, APA Bradshaw or JBL? Which one?
A
do you
mix of
prefer?
both. A mix of both.
No, you had to pick one.
No,
Mm,
no, I don't.
For
Because I
this-
can have JBL show up at a backroom poker match with Farouk and the Godfather, and I'm totally good with it.
Fine, Ryan. I'm giving you the ultimatum. Which one? Which one's better?
the APA Bradshaw was
Fine. Which one's better? Which one was more entertaining?
more entertaining. Bradshaw, APA, more entertaining. Although AP or JBL was
was a-
entertaining.
I honestly like JBL better because I've seen a lot of APA stuff with obviously you, Ryan. JBL's heel work for that
He
6,
was
7
only
years.
ever champion because Hunter didn't want to work Tuesday nights.
I love JBL in general. I'm a big Bradshaw fan. Always was. He has that. Thank you. He always had that Stan Hansen type deal to him. The chaps, the bullboat route. Not to mention, I love me a good clothesline. And there, between him and Rick Steiner, I can't think of any two that puts a clothesline on better than them two. I absolutely love it when Bradshaw or JBL or any version of Bradshaw, when he could take somebody completely out of their boots with a clothesline.
Clothesline
get-
from Hell was the perfect name for that.
I am a giddy like a schoolgirl. I absolutely love it when he knocks people out of their boots with a clothesline. I always played with the JBL character on the video games. I always thought it was fun to do the clothesline myself. But Bradshaw as APA was way more goofy entertaining, like the bar scenes with him and Farouk
The
when they go
bar
to the
fight
friendly
where they
when
had
they
the
go to the
match.
friendly tap and do their yearly renovation of the
Let's
bar.
not forget, at one point they
Friendly
were just
tap.
the Acolytes before there was the Acolyte Protection Agency.
Well, yeah, when they were just the acolytes, they were a ministry team. They didn't
Right,
have any
like,
funniness to
but they were still like beating the hell out of people.
them because it's Farouk and Bradshaw. Did you expect them to give them teddy bears and sing them lullabies?
God no.
Um, this blackjack team I liked as a kid because I knew Barry Windham from WCW. I knew that the Bradshaw before this was the Justin Hawk Bradshaw character. And it was like I like this black, and then they totally shit on them. I totally agree that the Blackjacks are one of the most unjust tag teams of the 1997s. But I digress. The Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, they won't do anything. They're gonna be
No.
just as bad as the
I love how
Blackjacks.
they started basically like they change a little bit for the most part when they start tagging. Road Dogg's already yo 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 coming down to the ring and does the whole spiel, just not the one we're used to now.
You didn't know?
Well, you got to remember, he was used to playing to the crowd as the
roadie.
the singer.
Roadie.
So, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this for October. Raw wins because of Bad Blood. The
It's gotta
debut
be
of Kane.
It's got to be Kane.
The Kane debut. I like the Kane showing up unannounced and taking people out. I'm a big fan of that.
It's the
Austin
nightmare.
taking
You're
out-
just afraid he's going to show up in your nightmares and kill you tonight if you don't give him the win.
the Austin taking people out to protect Owen is kind of funny. I'm kind of
And-
done with the whole Kurt Hennig, DDP, Kurt Hennig, Ric Flair deal. The one guy that's missing off of WCW that hasn't been there for 2 months is the Giant. He's been MIA, which I think I know why.
Giant, I remember
think-
Hacksaw went away.
Well, Hacksaw goes away. He goes to Saturday night and just basically wrestles.
Well, right,
over
but they
there.
were doing the whole. I mean,
But,
there's this overarching theme I've noticed with this is that WCW, like the announcers are like, "Where are the WCW troops? Where the hell is everybody?"
I think
Because our
I
guys
know,
keep getting the shit kicked out of them in the ring, and nobody's coming to help them.
I think I know why the Big Show or the Giant is away. Let me just look this up real quick.
How long before he's in WWE?
So with Ryan saying Raw
Um,
wins this week, we're back to 5-4 TJ.
Oh, that was the year before. Never mind. I was thinking maybe he was gone because it was getting ready to be the release of Jingle All the Way. But Jingle All the Way came out in 1996, not 1997. And
Which
in case
means,
you didn't know, the Giant is in Jingle All the Way. He's the Giant Santa Claus.
yes, punching the really, really tiny mini
Meiji.
Santa Claus.
But anyhow, this has been fun. We've got 2 more to go, maybe. Whether whoever wins or not, we're gonna play it out. Do you want to do the next 2 months just together? That we have one more show to get it over with.
We'll see.
I'm okay with that. I don't know if TJ can watch all that in 2 weeks.
Depends. I think my Saturdays are going to be freeing up soon, which should help.
You know, you sit there bowling and do nothing. You could watch one of these while you bowl.
No. And on Saturdays, I'm not bowling, I'm coaching.
No,
Sir.
Nate is coaching. You're just
No.
chaperoning.
No,
What are you doing
I'm
Tuesday,
helping
Wednesday, and
too.
Thursday? You're standing there bowling, shoving cheese
You don't
sticks in
have
your
that
mouth.
kind of no, I don't. But you don't have that kind of time.
Well, you got at least 3 people bowling before you.
Or after, but still, it's not. You're bowling at least once every 5 minutes. I can't start and stop and pay attention. My ADD brain will go, oh, I won't remember a thing.
So just watch it and just walk up and just throw the ball.
I mean, I'd probably do better than I did today, but that's a conversation for later. Let's go shoot things. I like that
Eh,
plan.
Anyhow,
I went.
we got 2 months left.
I went 2 weeks ago, and my best game was a 201.
We're tied.
I hate you. You can go die.
Somebody's gonna break the tie. I don't know.
We're
which
not
one
tied.
yet.
We're not
It's still
tied.
5-4. I'm
Uh,
still up a game.
I'm just shit. I let the cat out of the bag. No, I'm just kidding. But it's been fun. So stay tuned. We may have some content later on this week. I don't know yet. I'll talk to AJ about me and him doing something.
First time I'm hearing about it.
I just thinking on the fly. Maybe put something out between the two of us.
Thinking on the fry. That was good. I like that.
We'll do something while the fat guy is throwing balls at pins or throwing balls in the gutters, aiming at pins.
Hey,
Wait
huge
till
shout out-
9:30-ish. I
Huge
wouldn't mind
shout out to the
recapping
YouTube
NXT.
people. Huge shout out to the YouTube people. Our last versus over 1,000 views.
Over 1,200 views.
Even more now. Holy cow, people! Thank you very much.
You love us. You really love us.
Or they just love me and they want more me.
I mean, when I tell people about my wrestling podcast, I usually tell them I hit live and tell Ryan, go.
They don't call me the guru for nothing. I didn't give myself that nickname. Other people did.
Was it? It was either me or TJ that gave it to you.
Nah, my buddy Budsko gave me the nickname
Oh,
guru.
did he really?
Yes. I am the guru, and I will get a acknowledge me shirt for you guys just for fun. But it's been fun. Let's get out of here. I know people don't want to watch us anymore.
I just want to go shoot things.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Yeet!
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.